What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the City Life Project YouTube channel for yet another picks, preview, and predictions video breaking down UFC 315, Muhammad versus Della Maddalena. And right after this predictions video, at the top of the hour, we will jump over to cover KSW 106, the main card. The prelims are on right now. PFL Europe is on right now. There's some boxing on right now. It is another rich day of combat sports here, but let's, as usual, in textbook City Life fashion, sneak these UFC picks in before our day of covering the sport starts, and we will cover the entire UFC card as well. Maybe some Rise later and or Octagon early Sunday morning, but let's get into this. We got about 45 minutes until the KSW main card starts. So let's dive into this UFC card, which, by the way, not a lot of big names, not a lot of star power. Yes, some big fights canceled, but I think like matchmaking wise and like hardcore MMA, from an hardcore MMA perspective, the matchmaking on this card, you know, given that they're under the shackles of having to put Canadians on it, was actually pretty good. And I'm excited for, I would say, about 80% of these fights from just a fan perspective. And from a picks perspective and from a gambling perspective, you guys know me, I'm not a big gambler. I'm swinging on some underdogs in this one because I did drop a couple loonies and toonies. I don't bet like you guys on some of these underdogs. Not all Canadian, by the way, but let's get into it here. We have Brad Katona against Bekzat Almakhan, the Turan warrior against Superman Brad Katona. Brad Katona is the slight underdog in this one. He's 14-4 as a pro. A little bit of a snooze fest fighter. Fights less for the entertainment, more just to cash them UFC paychecks. He's from Winnipeg, Manitoba, but has been training out of Ireland for a while. After his first stint in the UFC and the Ultimate Fighter, he went over to Brave and did very, very well there, fighting some good competition. Came back to the Ultimate Fighter, had one of the best fights of 2023 against Timur Valiev, and then kind of just went back to his old Brad Katona ways. Now, lost to John Matsumoto in his last fight. I thought he'd do better in that one. Good win against Jesse Butler, but it's Jesse Butler. Garrett Armfield, that was actually a really good fight. Brad Katona leading early, and then Garrett Armfield just showing he had more dog in him and did more damage later. He beat Cody Gibson. And again, the guys who he's been beating in the UFC are journeymen at best, like roster fighters or top regional guys is best. Brad Katona is one of those guys who, like, he can hang with some of the lower end guys in the UFC. He can beat a lot of guys, not in the most beautiful fashion. He's good everywhere, not great anywhere. Decent wrestler, can take a lot of damage, doesn't do a lot of damage. Like, his boxing's sound, his grappling is really good though. He's a good like pressure guy where he'll just pin you up against the cage, do enough and sometimes not enough to score points. But anyways, that's kind of his style. But again, if he's dragged into deep waters, sometimes he'll throw down. Again, that Timur Valiev fight, it's a shame it was only a 2-round fight. I wish it went to a third round, even on the Ultimate Fighter. Bekzat is dangerous, all right? Like, I don't think he's as polished as a well-rounded fighter as Brad Katona. I don't think his grappling and wrestling's as good as Brad Katona, but his striking is way better, and he's just a way more dangerous fighter who has just as good cardio and has fought and looked better against better opponents. He lost to Umar Nurmagomedov, but actually looked really good in that fight. And before then was ripping it up in Octagon. And yeah, so these modified MMA rules fights, basically the only difference is there's like a timer for ground control time. So just you get stood up a lot faster. So like basically Japanese MMA. So not fake fights, but just different sport, but similar. Kind of like combat sambo, I guess you could say. I mean, not like the same sport, but how you see some of these guys who have like 30, 40 fights, but they're not all just mixed martial arts. I'm swinging with this one, and I think if Bekzat doesn't knock out Brad Katona will stink it up and win a boring decision by doing just enough. However, even if it goes to a decision, Bekzat still could win on damage like in the Armfield fight, but I'm banking on the decision merchant here out of Winnipeg. All right. Next fight we have on this one should be fucking fireworks. So the first one puts us to sleep. This one will be fireworks. Good to see you, Mr. Bombastic. Good to see you, K01. RDR versus Whitaker. Such a fun fight, dude. I'm so excited. That is a sick matchup. Daniel Santos, Jeong Lee. Jeong Lee is a sick fighter. He tries a little bit too much to represent TKZ's brutal fighting style, and that costed him in the Hyder Mill fight where he got knocked out and just outstruck in that one. But hey, it took like a 20+ combo to put him out, and before then was actually pretty durable. 11-2 as a pro, 4 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 4 decisions. He's actually very well-rounded and has an incredible ground game, just likes to brawl to bring honor to them Korean fighters, man. 2-1 in the UFC, dominated in Road FC, which I don't even know if I can say it's Korea's top promotion anymore because Black Combat is damn good. Looked good in his UFC debuts. He beat Yiza, who's decent, and Blake Bowler, he's okay, but hey, he was 8-1 coming into that one, and he absolutely schooled him. Every round of that fight. He's a Road FC champ where he actually fought some decent guys over there. And again, he's just well-rounded. I just think sometimes the wires cross and he just wants to entertain, which I have no issue with that as a fan. But if you're trying to get your Tapology picks right, or you got him in a parlay, he's risky because he's a true Asian MMA fighter who wants to put on a show for the fans. But he's really good as well. And Daniel Santos, man, him coming in as the underdog here is, again, from a betting perspective, a very good pick. I mean, this one's kind of a pick 'em in my mind. It's kind of like mini Du Bronx against TKZ wannabe. Daniel Santos fights like a shoot-a-box guy. Muay Thai striking style, 6 submissions, good scrambles. Jeong Lee's a little bit bigger, and I think just if like he employs wrestling, will be able to outgrapple Daniel Santos on the feet. It'll be interesting to see if like the flashy style of Daniel Santos will counteract more just like the brute boxing and then just kind of like MMA polished striking of that of the Korean fighter Jeong Lee. 5 KO TKOs, 2 submissions, 4 decisions. Fought in some really good leagues, ACA, ACB before it became ACA. 2-1 in the UFC. Has not been active though. He has not fought since 2023. Now he looked good in his UFC fights. All right. Castaneda is not easy to finish, and he was able to finish him. Good win against Johnny Munoz. But man, I'm supposed to fight Marcos, Said Nurmagomedov, Davy Grant. Now, not all of them were him, but still, that's a long time off. Whereas Jeong Lee, yeah, he got brutally knocked out 9 months ago. But he was. Honestly, he wasn't that much active before then. But in the last 2 years, anyways, he's been more active than Daniel Santos. So I'm going with Jeong Lee to win this one. I'm going with the favorite on this one, even though I said I was swinging on some underdogs. This one, I believe, is more of a pick'em, and maybe it does close out to be one, or Santos ends up being the favorite. Regardless, I think I kind of went over everything here. He's aggressive. He's powerful. Looks for war in a finish. He's got the size advantage. He's really big for 145. Does have a good ground game. It'll be interesting to see if he employs it to this one or just sees red and goes to war. I heard Santos had some personal issues for a while. Oh, I did not know that. All right, Marc-André Barriault, Bruno Silva. Whoever loses this one likely gets cut from the UFC. Marc-André Barriault, though he's on a 3-fight losing streak, Power Bar does usually bring an exciting style. He is a pressure fighter with not a lot of striking defense, but he's a good offensive striker, just doesn't have a lot of striking defense. Very good wrestler, good grappler, decent jiu-jitsu. Hunts for the finish or submission, even if that costs him in fights. And that's why I like Marc-André Barriault. Bruno Silva came into the UFC with a lot of skill, with a lot of helium. Looked good in some areas, but has just kind of stayed at his floor versus reach his ceiling, and it's kind of looked sluggish and not as powerful and slower in his last few fights. And yeah, he's on a 4-fight losing streak right now. And it's not like he's been Brendan Allen, solid guy. Shar Magomedov, really good as well. I mean, the Weidman fight was interesting at best. Eye poke city and fouls. But he just hasn't looked competitive, right? He hasn't looked competitive even going up against better opponents. I mean, he looked good against Pereira. But yeah, he kind of just has fought. And actually, Tavares looked good against Tavares as well, Brad Tavares. But he's kind of he's kind of been falling off ever since. And just the speed too, the speed and strength aspect, which is what Marc-André Barriault is good at. And he's got a lot of dog to him. He's had some cardio issues in the past because he just like goes fucking crazy in the first 2 rounds. But I don't know. I don't think he has necessarily a cardio issue. Dustin Stoltzfus brutally knocked him out though. Joe Pyfer as well. And then he lost a close decision to Chris Curtis, which was actually a very competitive fight. Beat Eric Anders, Julian Marquez. It's just like when Marc-André Barriault is taking a step up in competition in his division, which isn't the deepest division anyways, he struggles, but he puts on exciting fights. I think in Quebec, where he's from, I think that will help a little bit as well. He'll want to put on a show for the fans. He'll definitely want to stay in the UFC, obviously. Get that crowd pop at the end, and I just think he'll out pressure, out strength, and honestly outstrike Bruno Silva as well. So I'm going with the power bar, Marc-André Barriault. And this one, again, whoever loses this is going to be cut from the UFC, I imagine. All right. Navajo Stirling against Ivan Urslan. What's up, the striking ace? What's up, Rafael? Good to see you. Urslan, 14-4 as a pro. He's from Croatia. A lot of you guys who've watched Polish MMA, FEN, and KSW are probably very familiar with the Croatian powerhouse. He's going up against the prospect, the kickboxing crossover from CKB, Navajo Stirling, who's only 6-0 as a pro. Undefeated, and he's the big favorite coming into this one. And this is some textbook like UFC. Give the younger guy who's popular, who's a sick striker, who has some good knockouts, a big step up in competition that a lot of the non-hardcores, let's just say, are unfamiliar with, and the odds are like this. I think this is insane, personally. I think this is absolutely insane. Does he have the ability to knock out anyone? Yes, he does. Is he big for the division? Yes, but Urslan's fucking huge for the division as well. He looked like freaking Glover Teixeira's, prime physique out there, which, I mean, was just a big, scary motherfucker. That's I saw Urslan on the scales and I was like, damn, like even like cut to 205, he looks massive. So I've watched a lot of his fights. I'm still not sold on Stirling. Does he have the knockout ability? Yes. Was I disappointed in his last fight against Tuco Tokos? 100%. Was I honestly disappointed with his Dana White Contender Series fight? Yes, I was. Philip Latu, in my opinion, won the first round of that fight. And Navajo Stirling caught him when he started to gas a little bit, because let's be honest. Have you seen Philip Latu? Have you seen him? Okay, just look him up. Right? No disrespect. He's a very good fighter, but he's not a physical specimen. Let's just say that, okay? Guy could fight at 185. He really could if he wanted to, sort of thing. Stirling has been competing in jiu-jitsu competitions locally, but again, local New Zealand jiu-jitsu competitions. I'm glad he's actually polishing that. And it's not like CKB has bad wrestling and jiu-jitsu coaches, right? Even though they're a kickboxing gym, they're an MMA gym now. Let's be perfectly honest. But having said all that, okay, he's dangerous. He's tall. Has his takedown defense been tested against top guys? No, but there's some questions to be answered here. Urslan is legit, and I'm betting on him to win, and I am picking him to win in this one. This is a huge test for the young guy. We've seen this song and dance before, where the young guys have lose their O in the UFC against someone who may not be like a longtime UFC vet, but a solid veteran who's in his prime right now in the sport. 14-4. Yeah, he's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, but he's only taken on good competition throughout his whole career. He can also knock you the fuck out too, and he's only been knocked out once. 10 KO TKOs, 1 submission, 3 decisions, 4-3 in KSW. Yeah, he lost a razor close decision to Ion Kutalaba. What a fun fight that was, by the way. In KSW Epic, he knocked out Bogdan Needko, who's very good. He knocked him the fuck out. Again, only losing to really good opponents. And Haratic, he's got some fucking power, so no shame getting knocked out by him. Some cans here and there, FNC lost in a title fight in KSW. Was on a 3-fight win streak to earn that. He actually just couldn't get the title in KSW. He fought for it twice, but man, he fought some good opponents, especially like in the last 5 years. Some cans, as he was building up his resume. before he kind of got to Poland. But he's very well-rounded. His gas tank isn't that bad as we saw in the Kutalaba fight. He'll huff and puff and continue to walk forward. And yeah, I like him as an underdog, and I think he's a good test for Stirling. And if Stirling gets past him, then okay, sweet. He's the real deal, James Neal. Or it's like, okay, we know what he has to work on. Fraud checked? No, he's 6-0. Exposing some things he might have to work on, kind of like what happened to Peyton Talbot? Perhaps. So I'm going Urslan, way more MMA experience, very tough and hard to finish, huge for the division as well. Yeah, huge step up for Stirling. So I'm going with Urslan on that one. What's up, Will the Skillet? Good to see you. Bilal Hassan versus Bilal Muhammad, 100%. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you. All right, Modestas Bukauskas against Yeong Kutalaba. This one is tough, and the odds are dead even for a reason. Flip a coin. If this gets past the first round, I think Bukauskas wins. Yeong Kutalaba finishes him in the first. If this ends in the first round, it's Yeong Kutalaba finishing Bukauskas. He's not chinny, but he doesn't have an iron chin. He hasn't been able to grapple and defend takedowns at the same level that he did before his knee got absolutely destroyed by Khalil Roundtree. Having said that, since that loss, he went back to Cage Warriors, won the title there, came back to the UFC, and actually has been doing pretty damn good. He came back, beat Tyson Pedro, who, hindsight, not the greatest win. Zach Pauga, hindsight, not the greatest win. Lost to Victor Petrino, who, Victor Petrino, not as good as maybe we thought he was, but beat Prachnio, and this was actually a really good fight. And he beat whoever the fuck this guy is, who is 11-1 coming in. 11-1 coming into that one. He's very sound. He's big for the division. Wicked striker. Good, like historically good takedown defense, but you never know. You never know with that injury. And he hasn't been tested a lot in his last two fights as far as like the takedowns go. Prachnio, was he like karate style guy, right? That was a fun fight too, by the way. So I've always liked Bukauskas. I think he's good everywhere. Maybe not great anywhere, but his striking, maybe a little bit above good, not quite great. But yeah, pretty well-rounded fighter who does have some dog in him, but he needs his opponent to kind of pull it out of him. And sometimes it's too late. And Yeong Kutalaba, man, he's the flip a coin fighter. He either looks like he can beat anyone in the division, or he kind of, I don't want to say he gives up, but his like body gives up on him and he just goes too crazy too quickly, or gets caught, right? For a guy with a grappling and like wrestling background, I just love the way he fights, man. All gas, no breaks for the Hulk. So not to say that his cardio is like bad, but it hasn't been the greatest because of the way he fights. So that's why I think like even if he wins the first round and like is pedaling ahead in the second, or is still like staying ahead in the second, I do think in the moments where he starts to fade and like take his foot off the gas a little bit, Bukauskas will be able to capitalize. Honestly, despite me saying that like Bukauskas, my prediction for him losing this fight would be him getting knocked out in the first round. Kutalaba could out wrestle him, right? Because he is a damn good grappler. I just don't think Kutalaba is going to do that until it's too late. I think Bukauskas will be able to like in the second, third round, keep this on the feet and start getting the better of Kutalaba in the exchanges, especially at range. So I'm going Bukauskas on this one, but honestly, I was back and forth and I did have to flip a coin. So we're going Bukauskas. What else is it? Yeah, technical kickboxer. Dangerous, also well-rounded. The knee is always a big question mark. Decent takedown defense historically, but who knows? Yeah, this one should be a fun fight. I mean, it's Kutalaba. When is it not a fun fight? All right, Jessica Andrade with Jasmine. Jasudavicius. I mean, respect to Jessica Andrade, man. She, any fighter, anywhere, anytime, company woman at this point. Still entertaining in wins or losses, right? Like she'll either get finished quickly and we're like, yes, sweet, cool, finish from the opponent, or she'll still surprise us with a nice knockout or submission. And every now and then she'll get into another war as well. But definitely past her prime. But good on her for continuing to take fights. I believe she's like lives in Vegas for most of the year, so it's easy for her to at least like just be around the OCPI and the UFC. And I know that they take good care of her, and she has been with the company for a while, like I said. But past her prime, I think is more of a 115 pounder. Let's be perfectly honest. She's always been kind of undersized at 125. And Jasmine Jasudavicius is huge for 125, right? She's got really good grappling. Her striking has gotten so much better since the Tracy Cortez loss. Crazy to think that Tracy Cortez got Jasmine Jasudavicius to polish up her striking. But hey, it's worked. It's worked. For example, in the Klein fight, I mean, she almost killed Cachoeira, by the way. I don't even think I could talk about that on YouTube in fear that this whole channel gets demonetized, right? It was that much of an ass whooping. It was kind of the roles reversed. We all thought Fatima Klein, the decorated grappler, was going to come in here and out-grapple Jasmine Jasudavicius. But it was Klein who actually was doing really well in the striking, and Jasmine Jasudavicius, though looked good in the striking in that one too, was just like a little bit of a step behind just Klein, who just like bit down on her mouthpiece and was just throwing hands walking forward. And Jasudavicius actually out-wrestled the grappler. So it was a very interesting fight. Both those women displayed good well-roundedness. Ariana Lipski, not great. She finished her really quickly. And then in her last fight, huge step up in competition. Now, is Maia Silva a little bit overrated? Yeah, I think because like when she fights well, she fights to her ceiling. When she fights poorly, she fights to her floor. There's like no in between. But still, Jasmine Jasudavicius looked really good against her. And I think, a win over Andrade gets a title eliminator fight, or fuck it, a title shot at this point, because she's getting up there in age. She's got some helium. I mean, 5 wins in a row. And not only Canadians, but like general MMA fans digging Jasmine Jasudavicius. I don't want to say she's a star, but it's, dude, the UFC, they're just dying for women to market, right? Like, go all in on Jasmine Jasudavicius if she gets the win here, and I do think she will. Is there always a chance that Jessica Andrade knocks a motherfucker out? Yes. Jasmine Jasudavicius is pretty tough, though. I think she'll be able to take a few punches at least, and I think she will. She'll get the better of Andrade in the clinch. She'll land more elbows, knees in the clinch, and I think she'll out-wrestle her and find either the ground and pound TKO finish, or find the submission, or utilize the ground and pound to set up the submission. She's the Canadian Khabib, the way she wrestles these women, ladies and gentlemen, and I think she'll make easy work on the ground of Jessica Andrade. Andrade with the throwback performance and finds the chin to boost those OnlyFans subs. Yo, what's up, Spinning Bird Flip? Good to see you. So many women flyweight fights. If Andrade slam KOs Jasmine, I'll be throwing my laptop at the wall. Always just a striker's chance you got to think about. Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm tasting Reyes Krylov vibes. I'm taking Bukauskas. Yo, what's up, Justin? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, we're going to continue to go through these guys because we got KSW in like 15 minutes. We got Mike Malott against Charles Radke. Oh, I love that Charles Radke playing the villain in Montreal. This one is going to be awesome. This one's going to be awesome, or it's going to be just a scrambly grapple fest, which I say scrambly to mean that like it actually will be entertaining. Because I don't think that Chuck Buffalo will be able to lay in prey, which he can. He's a very talented wrestler. I think Mike Malott's a little too scrambly for him to lay and pray, but I do think Charles Radke's the better wrestler. I think Mike Malott is the better striker, ever so slightly. So this is a very good matchup. 10-4 for Radke, 11-2 for Mike Malott. Again, blew it against Neil Magny. He was beating him all fight until he gassed, and he wasn't. Had a good comeback fight against Trevin Giles, but hey, it's Trevin Giles. Outstruck the former kickboxer in Adam Fugit. Johan Laness, who's still doing okay even now in the regional scene. He beat, and then he KO'd Mickey Gall. So, like, Mike Malott hasn't had the biggest competition in the UFC. But, I would argue that, other than Pratis, who, holy fuck, he got absolutely murked, Charles Radke hasn't had the greatest competition in the UFC either. Like, Raheem Forrest is a better fighter than Blood Diamond and Gilbert Urbina, in my opinion. So this one should be fun. I think this should be more of a pick'em than Mike Malott being the favorite. But I think he's the favorite because people recognize that his striking is a little bit better and he can probably hold his own in the grappling. So I'm also going to go with a Mike Malott in this one. But Charles Radke is a good underdog. And Charles Radke wins, bro. He is going to rip the Canadian crowd a new one. Let's just say that. ESPN is probably... or Sportsnet definitely is going to mute that shit. Let's just say that. Benoit Staff Denis against Kyle Prepolec. Prepolec taking this fight on a couple days' notice. He was supposed to fight Michael Dufour last night, who got a wicked finish in Samurai MMA. He's now the 170? No, lightweight champion there. Anyways, 18-8 for Prepolec. This is his second run in the UFC. Again, taking this final short notice because there was a fight card in Montreal. Anyways, he was there. He was ready. He's the huge underdog in this one, right? Like, I'm picking Benoit Saint Denis to win. All I'll say is, what the fuck, Montreal? You weren't cheering. You were cheering the Frenchman, not the Quebecois, not the Canadian, the fucking staff Denis louder. Now, it was split, but louder than your boy. Shame on you, Montreal. Shame on you. That made me sick, dude. That made me fucking sick to my stomach at the press conference and at the weigh-ins. He has a chance to knock out Benoit Saint Denis, and did I bet on him knocking out Benoit Saint Denis? Absolutely. Is it going to pay out? Probably not. He's a regional fighter that when he takes a step up in competition, UFC level guys, he loses. But he's a fun regional fighter, and he beat Michael Dufour in their last fight. Mind you, it was a close one, and Michael Dufour is one of the better Canadian regional fighters as well. I think even better. Like, he beat Joe Giannetti in Cage Titans to win the title. And now he's a Samurai MMA champion. Regardless, Kyle's pretty well-rounded, better striker for sure. But really doesn't have the best wins. His best win, let's be honest, is Michael Dufour. But again, he went decision with a few UFC guys, but couldn't get over like the Austin Hubbards. Yeah. He's got some regional titles, and again, puncher's chance. And Benoit Saint Denis, apparently he's got staff again. Again, unconfirmed. I didn't read any articles about it. Someone was just telling me that in the live chat, and I looked at his face, and I was like, oh my God, Benoit staff Denis is back. But having said that, I still think he hits harder. I think he's just better everywhere, right? He just is. He's better everywhere. He's a better wrestler. He's a better striker. I don't know about Kyle's cardio too much, to be perfectly honest. That's like the only kind of knock on Benoit Saint Denis, especially if he's on the antibiotics right now. But I think he'll get it done early. But if Benoit Saint Denis though gasses, and then this goes to the second round, and Kyle still looks fresh, fuck, man, that knockout's going to be juicy, and I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. But yeah, I'm picking Benoit Saint Denis to win this one. If he loses, cut Benoit Saint Denis, send him to fucking Eris where no one can watch, literally. Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva, and give fucking Kyle a bonus galore. Yo, what's up, 206 Stoner? Spinning bird flip striking. Guys, I'm not going to take too many comments in this stream, but I will in about 10-15 minutes on the KSW stream. I had to sneak this in quickly, and I will be going over to KSW in a little bit, but I'm seeing you guys here. Radke's a great dog picking this one 100%. But I see you guys all here, and I thank you so much for hanging out. What's up, Idaho? But yeah, we'll be way more interactive in the UFC stream and KSW. I just had to fit this one in. Had to get some work done this morning because I stayed up too late last night finishing Better Call Saul. Sue me. It took me fucking almost 10 years to finish that show. Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. 18-5-1 for Natalia Silva. She's on a hell of a win streak right now, and she's awesome, man. She's fun to watch. Does she get a lot of finishes in the UFC? No. But is she nonstop action? And she key eyes with every fucking strike? Absolutely. 5 KO, 7 submissions, 5 decisions, 6-0 in the UFC, undefeated. She was 4-0 undefeated in Jungle Fight. She was 3-0 undefeated in Fight Club MMA as well. Look at this fucking win streak she's on, man. She hasn't lost since 2018. She was the Jungle Fight champion when she defended the title, came into the UFC, boom, beat Jasmine Jasudavicius. Okay. Took that O from Bleda. Victoria Leonardo, meh. Andrea Lee, meh. Arroyo, decent. And then Jessica Andrade. She made it. What I want to point out is here, she made it look easy against all of these women. So extremely well-rounded, really good striker, doesn't take a lot of damage. On the regional scene, she was knocking girls out left, right, and center. I don't think she'll be able to do that against Alexa Grasso. But Alexa Grasso is a good striker as well, so this should be actually a fun one, despite there probably not going to be a finish. This one should still be a fun one. 16-4-1 for Alexa Grasso. I do think she got a little too overrated. I think the hype was a little real upon her getting the title. Because if you look at her like rise to the title shot, not the greatest opponents. Joanne Wood, Macy Barber, Jeong, you know what I mean? Again, Arroyo, decent. But again, she capitalized on that first fight of Valentina Shevchenko and got the win. This one, it really could have gone either way. It wasn't dominant at all. And then Valentina Shevchenko just like didn't beat the shit out of her, but beat her in that fight. Didn't give her any opportunity to strike. When they did, she won the exchanges and just, lay and prayed and solidified the win and the belt. I don't think Silva's going to do that. I think Silva will likely keep this on the feet. Silva is a little bit more of a dynamic striker. I don't want to say kind of like Valentina, but a little bit different. So this is a little bit more of a boxer versus, I'll just say kickboxer, more dynamic striker affair. And Alexa Grasso did look good against Valentina in their first fight in the striking exchanges, and shoot, in the second fight as well. So maybe that boxing style works here. I just think Natalia Silva is better. I think she's better on the ground. I think she's a better striker. I think she's better everywhere, and I think Natalia Silva wins this one. All right, featured fight here. We got José Aldo against Ayman Zahabi. Look, I was a lot more confident in José Aldo beating Zahabi before the weight issues, but he said he just can't do 135 anymore at 38 years of age. Look, he was the 145 champ for so many years. It was badass for him to try to make that weight and, you know, conquer 2 divisions in his legacy. But look, it is what it is. He's still the favorite in this one, but it's moving, it's moving a little bit more towards Zahabi's side every hour. Look, I think there's only 2 ways for Zahabi to win. Catch Aldo with a big shot, and Aldo, usually doesn't. He's durable. Even at 38 years of age, he's still pretty durable. So I don't think Zahabi knocks him out. I think it's a possibility, right? Puncher's chance. I'm not personally confident that that's the way he beats him. Because I think on the feet, if they strike, Aldo's going to piece him up. I think Aldo's going to outbox him. Leg kicks, shots to the body, mixing it up, just overwhelms Zahabi. And even if Zahabi's prepared for it, like, it's another thing once you're in there with the King of Rio. So I think the most realistic way for Zahabi to win this fight is to try to go full Bautista and Merab on Aldo. And I do not think he will be able to, because he ain't Bautista, he ain't Merab. José Aldo has incredible takedown defense. He defended the takedowns on Bautista and Merab, right? So I don't think the smother plan from Zahabi is going to work. I think he's going to have to depend on the knockout, or trying to find the knockout, and I don't think he's going to find it. I think Aldo will beat him. Having said that, it's going to be interesting to see how Aldo looks in the second and third round, given his weight cut issues. Lost to Bautista, beat Martinez, which was so impressive, and then, before he took his little bit of a little break, he lost to Merab again by being grapple fucked. Beat Rob Font and Pedro Munoz before them, and both of them were in their primes. I think he's got a couple fights still left in him, the King of Rio. I don't think he's going to retire unless he gets knocked the fuck out in this one, because then it's just like, at this point, fuck this week, fuck this sport, I'm going to go back to boxing. But Ayman Zahabi, credit where credit is due, man. He's no spring chicken. 37 years of age, and Faraz, his older brothers, had a very busy weekend. He was cornering some guys in Samurai yesterday as well. 5 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 4 decisions, an impressive 6-2 in the UFC, and some good wins, man. Lost to Vince Morales, who Vince Morales is good, and Ricardo Ramos early in his career, 2017, 2019. Came back in 2021. Draco Rodriguez, he's meh, but he was 7-1 at the time, so good win. Ricky Tercios coming off the Ultimate Fighter victory. We know that Tercios ain't that great, but he beat him. Ori Kilang, decent fighter, right? Good everywhere, not great everywhere. Good win and a good knockout. Javid Bashrat, really good win. And Pedro Munoz, who's still got some gas left in the tank, a good win nonetheless. So, like, a pretty decent rise to get this Aldo fight, but I'm still banking on José Aldo. All right, co-main event of the evening, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for commenting in the live chat. I see GV Lolo as well, J Beers. Jump over to KSW right after this, guys, and we can talk more UFC. I got all my notes and everything, so we can talk UFC on KSW, and obviously I will be streaming. Yeah, we're going to do KSW. We're jumping over to the KSW main card. Starts in about 5 minutes, so we're going to jump over to that right after this stream. The KSW stream is already up, guys. I believe the comment is pinned. It might not be. I'll set it for 5 minutes more on KSW, because they had 3 prelims. They were free on YouTube, and that was this last hour. I wanted to sneak this in, so I said, even though there are probably great prelims on KSW, I said, fuck the prelims. We're doing these UFC picks and predictions. No lake behind me this time, though. Anyways, Valentina Shevchenko against Manon Fior. 12-1 for Manon Fior, and honestly, I've been watching Manon Fior for a while. I've really loved her ascend. Honestly, I thought she was deserving of the title shot like 2 years ago. Let's be perfectly honest. But Valentina and Grasso had to go full fucking Moreno and Figgy on us. But anyways, and clog up the division. But Valentina Shevchenko, we kind of talked about her a little bit in the Grasso rundown. She did what she had to do to get that, to make sure, leave no doubt, she said, getting that win. She is incredibly well-rounded, known for her dope striking. It's so slick, and it used to be so impressive. Like when Valentina was fighting, women's MMA, man, it wasn't quite the Ronda Rousey effect, but like you watch it because you knew she was going to kick ass, and it was just really fun to watch, right? Just really incredible striking. She's kind of gone away from that a little bit and realized that if she wants to stay at the top, make the big bucks, stay relevant in the final parts of her career, she's going to have to win fights. Even if people are going to talk smack, at least they're talking about her, right? Manon Fiorot, incredible boxer, tough to take down, very strong, very big for the division. Now, her striking didn't look as polished as usual against Erin Blanchfield. I don't think Erin Blanchfield is a very good striker at all, but she did school her. Like, she did beat her everywhere. She beat Rose Namajunas on the feet as well, and was able to stuff her takedowns, but Rose did break her hand for whatever that is worth. Katlyn Serminara, all right, she took her husband's last name, always has kind of stayed at the top of the division, right? She beat her 2 years ago, and I honestly thought she should have gotten a title shot off of that. Jennifer Maia, she beat. Jennifer Maia is actually still doing well in Invicta now, and she beat Maya Bueno Silva when she was on the rise as well. So like a really good rise to the title shot for Manon Fiorot. She's the favorite for a reason. People are banking on her keeping the fight on the feet, out-muscling Shevchenko in that regard, and outstriking her. This is just a fun match because if this just does stay on the feet, it's a fun kickboxer versus a boxer style mixed martial arts, who both of them have a pretty well-rounded striking game for this sport, but with those two backing styles, it just should be fireworks. However, Valentina is not going to provide that anymore. This isn't Valentina in her early 30s. This is Grandma Valentina at this point, and she's going to do her best to lay and pray. If she can't get the double leg or whatever, she doesn't really go for those anyways. She clinches, trips, and goes for the damn judo throws, even risking getting on the bottom position. I think she's probably more confident being able to scramble from bottom than Fiorot. I think Fiorot wins at least 2 rounds. I really do, because I don't think Valentina Shevchenko will be able to bully her early. But I think Valentina's going to stink this one up. I hope not. I'm picking Valentina to win. I hope Manon Fiorot beats her on the feet. I really do. I really do. All right. Main event of the evening. It's kind of the same thing. I'm picking Belal to win, but I'm hoping Jack Della beats him on the feet, man. Suddenly everyone, Belal's the best boxer. He's the best boxer in the UFC. Shut the fuck up, bro. He's one of the best wrestlers. I would say elite grapplers who has better hands than an I'll eat crow than I ever thought. That Sean Brady fight, I couldn't have been more wrong. Leon Edwards couldn't have been more wrong. Gilbert Burns couldn't have been more wrong. Gilbert Burns had one arm. Sean Brady's fucking dope. That was a great win. And Leon Edwards, I can't make any more excuses for that guy. Maybe he's just not as good as we thought he was, right? But even though I keep forgetting his name and Belal Hassan is the real Belal, I'm picking Belal Muhammad to win. Is it going to be dangerous if he wants to just strike with Jack Della Maddalena and actually keep his promise of keeping this on the feet and not throwing a single takedown? Yeah, and he's going to get beat on the feet. Jack Della is that good. He's that good. He's going to rip the body. He's going to put together the faster combos. That's his wheelhouse. Like, people do not want to fight Jack Della in the pocket or on the feet, right? And Jack Della Maddalena has decent takedown defense, but again, like he hasn't been tested with the likes of Belal, right? Like, yeah, he beat Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns hasn't looked the same. And I know it was a year ago, but let's be honest. Gilbert, the Chamaya of Gilbert Burns is gone, man. Long gone. Kevin Holland split decision. Didn't look his greatest in that one, but did outstrike Kevin Holland. Hafez was 100% on the sauce, and Jack Della Maddalena was pulling stupid guillotines, and he still won that fight. Randy Brown's good. Was able to make that look easy. Danny Roberts, meh, but knocked him out easy. Like, hasn't been tested with the grappling. So it's going to be interesting. Do I think he can catch Belal? 100%. Do I think he can do more damage? Yes. Leon Edwards did fucking more damage on Belal. It was just in the 5th round, and, you know, this ain't pride, all right? Do I think Jack Della will ultimately probably do more damage? Yes. Do I think Belal will sneak out 3 rounds? Or control Jack Della from his back? Because that's the biggest thing. In the clinch, I think Jack Della can actually hold his own a little bit and probably land some strikes. And again, Belal will land some shots, right? It's not like he's going to get completely outclassed, but Jack Dell just is the better boxer. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? Belal might just try to go for the back every single time and control him there. He had a tough time subbing Leon from that position. I'm not saying he's going to sub Jack from that position, but he could just get the control time there and hold him there for a little while. So be prepared for that. So I'm going with Belal, hoping Jack Della wins, though. Degenerate parlay, we're going JDM, Prepolec, and Katona. Honestly, so many good underdogs to mix and match with for a degenerate parlay. There's not really a safe parlay. Nobody's safe on this card. I guess Jasmine, Marc-André, and Silva, but I even wrote in my notes, no one is safe. All the underdogs I like: Katona, Modesta, Prepolec, Valentina, Urslan, Radke, Grasso, JDM. That's it for the prediction stream. Join me for KSW. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all. Time for some Polish MMA in France. Honestly, it's not the best KSW card, but Saladin's fighting, Ayub's fighting, and we're probably going to see some knockouts regardless. UFC stream will be live in a couple hours. It's just set private right now because YouTube shit. But KSW's up. Go check it out, and we'll see you there in a couple of minutes. Let me know your picks in the comments too, guys. Not in the live chat comments here, but on the comments of this video. Let me know where I'm wrong. Let me know what you like. And good luck on your picks, guys. We will see you on the other side. Peace.
Just because you get more picks right doesn't mean you're better at predictions than me.
Yeah.